You may have heard that the Super Bowl happened last night, and like any red-blooded American, I enjoyed watching the Kansas City Chiefs suffer one of the worst humiliations that we've seen in professional sports this century, probably. But frankly, I would have preferred that the humiliation was a bit more entertaining to watch. Instead, we were treated to an incredibly dull, uninteresting game to go along with some pretty bland and uninspired commentary from Tom Brady, and perhaps the worst halftime show the NFL has ever subjected us to. The halftime show was so bad that it was almost baffling. And in case you made the wise decision to take a bathroom break during the halftime show, here's what it sounded like.
Burn this thing down, don't you play with me, stay with me. Crashing out right now, it ain't safe for me. Did it with integrity. These boys try to hate on me, just wait and see. More blood be spilling, it's just pain to me. Dangerously, ain't no changing me, ain't no shaming me. Flip a coin, you want the dangerous me?
So, that's the rapper Kendrick Lamar, and he performing a song there that 95% of the audience, myself included, had never heard before. And we still have not heard it because nobody could understand a word the guy was saying as he wandered around the stage for 14 minutes, lethargically mumbling the words to a bunch of songs nobody knows. His performance wasn't really offensive or objectionable. It was just plain old bad. In fact, I'm not even sure we can call it a performance. I'm not even sure if those were songs. He could have been reciting the first 10 pages of the dictionary or giving us his favorite gumbo recipe for all we know. He was completely unintelligible the entire time. And his abysmal pseudo-performance brings me back to a radical suggestion I've made before, which is that maybe the NFL should consider a halftime show where a band plays music. And I may now be speaking over the heads of younger people in the audience, but because you see here, a band is a group of people who play these things called instruments, which produce something called music. And then usually there will be one person who sings. And almost all popular music used to be made by bands, believe it or not. Now almost none of it is. But it may be time to return to this ancient concept, at least for the Super Bowl halftime show. That's my pitch. In any case, even amid the drudgery of the product that was put on screen last night, there was almost one bright spot last night. Because for the first 8 hours of the game, or what felt like 8 hours, the commercials were, if not necessarily good, at least not overtly woke. By recent standards, they were basically unobjectionable. Now, I would not say the ads were anti-woke by any means, but they weren't trying to force-feed us wokeness at gunpoint. So that was an improvement. But even this meager bright spot was soon sullied just a bit. The non-woke vibes were ruined by two ads in particular. They both had the same theme. They were both attempting to kind of resurrect the 2019 era girl power nonsense. These were ads that would have made more sense and felt more at home back in the time when Hollywood was trying to convince us that Brie Larson was the next great superhero. Those days are basically over, but you wouldn't know it from these ads. The first one comes courtesy of the NFL. Here it is.
Let's settle this once and for all. Your best guy?
Girl.
Whatever. Versus our best guy. The Brad.
Oh, not the Brad. I'm Brad.
I can read.
My body is burning, it starts to shout. Desire's coming, it breaks our heart. The night is calling,
There you go. You got folded up, Brad. Get her. Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
So the ad beseeches us to join the movement to make girls flag football into a varsity sport. And you would think that if the NFL wanted to promote girls flag football, they would show us something that reflects the reality of girls flag football. At a minimum, you'd think that it would be something that exists in the same universe as girls flag football. Instead, we get this fantasy sequence that begins with a man challenging a girl to a game of, I guess, one-on-one football. Now, of course, I have no idea what one-on-one football is or how to play it. If somebody challenged me to go up against them in a one-on-one football contest, I wouldn't even know exactly what they wanted me to do. But in this case, it meant, I guess, that the girl would run with the ball towards the end zone and the guy would try to tackle her or grab the flags in this case. The guy apparently did not get a chance to carry the ball himself. So this is a sudden death football showdown where only one side gets to play offense. Not exactly a fair contest. Did you know that over 85% of grass-fed beef in stores is imported? Since 2015's repeal of country and of origin labeling, meat can get a product of USA label even if it's not from the USA, if it's from overseas. Most grocery store meat contains unwanted additives, antibiotics, hormones, and seed oils, but GoodRanchers.com is different. Their meat is 100% American-born, raised, and harvested with complete transparency about its origins, all the way from farm to table. I've tried many of their steaks and other choices. I've tried pretty much everything that they have, and they are quite possibly the most tender, tasteful, clean protein options I have ever had. Right now, Good Ranchers is running their New Year, New Meat promotion. So in 2025, you can make choices you feel good about. If you subscribe to any of their boxes, you'll get free ground beef, chicken breast, or wild-caught salmon in every order for a year, plus $25 off when you use my code Walsh at checkout. That's clean, high-quality protein in every order for free for an entire year. You don't want to miss this. It's not too late to start the year right. Invest in your health and support American farms with every purchase. Visit GoodRanchers.com now and use my code Walsh for that exclusive offer. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. Now, I know that it may seem like I'm taking the ad a bit too literally, and I am. You might say that the commercial is supposed to be a joke, but yes, but this part of it is not the joke. We are not meant to laugh at the concept of a girl playing against men in football. That's not supposed to be funny. The NFL wants us to take that idea very seriously. The joke in the ad is not that a woman would never in a million years perform that well against men on a football field. That was not the intended joke or point anyway. The point is supposed to be that men are overconfident morons and women are amazing and perfect and can do anything that men can do, only better. Like I said, this ad is not based in our universe. It would have been more realistic and plausible if she sprouted wings and flew across the field. And that was just one of the girl power ads. The other was even worse and came to us from Nike. Apparently, and I was surprised by this, Nike has not had a Super Bowl ad since 1988. So this is their long-awaited Super Bowl comeback is here, and this is what they chose for it.
You can't be demanding. You can't be relentless. You can't put yourself first. So, put yourself first. You can't be confident. So be confident. You can't challenge. So challenge. You can't dominate. So dominate. You can't flex. So flex. You can't fill a stadium. So fill that stadium. You can't be emotional, so be emotional. You can't take credit. You can't speak up. You can't be so ambitious. You can't break records. You can't have any fun. You can't make demands. You can't keep score. You can't stand out. Whatever you do, you can't win. So win.
Now, I have seen some cope from some conservatives who claim that this ad is a cultural win because Nike is celebrating women's sports in an ad that features only women. So the fact that no trans-identified male appears in the ad is supposed to be a sign that Nike is turning towards the right or something. But that's not the case. Nike still supports putting men in women's sports, which makes this ad a sign of hypocrisy, not progress. The point of the ad is supposed to be that female athletes are the victims of sexism. That's what the ad is saying. You can't be demanding, you can't be confident, etc. These are all things that women supposedly hear from our supposedly patriarchal society. The whole ad is one long feminist trope that we've seen a million times before. This is not Nike bravely standing up against left-wing gender ideology. It's Nike pandering with a bunch of incredibly overused and ridiculous feminist cliches. Back in reality again, nobody is telling women that they can't be confident or ambitious or whatever. Nobody's telling women that they can't win in women's sports. Of course, women can win in women's sports. Somebody has to win, and it's going to be a woman. Unless men are competing, in which case it's going to be a man. But the richest irony, I think, is that Caitlin Clark is in this commercial. Clark has actually been doubted, criticized, mocked, belittled, hated on. That's true in her case. Except men are not the ones doing that. In fact, most male sports fans like Caitlin Clark. They kind of admire the fact that she's managed to single-handedly make women's professional basketball culturally relevant, sort of. All of the hate towards Caitlin Clark, literally all of it, is coming from other women, most of whom are playing the same sport. Her haters are the other women in her league. And this is very often the case. And I'm far from the first person to point this out. But when feminists tell us that women are critiqued and condemned and judged, it doesn't take much digging to find out that it's almost always other women doing the critiquing, condemning, and judging. This goes for everything. I mean, everything from so-called beauty standards, which are mostly set by women and imposed on themselves for the sake of impressing other women. Because for men, men do have beauty standards, but for men, the beauty standards are pretty simple. Don't be obese. Okay, that's the only beauty standard that men have for women. Don't be obese. That's it. That's it. But all the rest of it, layering on the makeup and all the other stuff and spending a bunch of money on clothes and all, that's for other women. That's not, men aren't asking you to do that. So that's what we find. And that's not to say that men are never mean to women. Of course, they can be, but the vast majority of the meanness that feminists complain about comes from other women. Like the stereotypical horror movie, the call is coming from inside the house. But I guess Nike didn't want to spend $8 million to make an ad with that message, so we get this mindless girl power routine instead. At a time when wokeness is dying, this stuff feels more antiquated than ever, but Nike is clinging on to it, and so is the NFL, and that is why they are both today canceled. Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.